as well. We mentioned the other day that after you're competing, you're gonna get into the ring next year.
I want to, bro. That's my goal. 2022, I'm going to do a white collar boxing match. Right, guys, I'm here with the injured man. The man, you can't actually really see in your camera either, but he's injured, guys. He is man down. he has
Literally.
he has been man down for a while. We'll put some photos up of how he looks currently.
Yeah.
Unclestoffels, Mr. Crispino, bro. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yo, thanks for having me again, bro. It's always nice coming into the studio and doing a little banter session. This is our regular banter session.
Yeah, regular banter.
So it's always a goodie. Always enjoy it.
So you have dislocated both knees. Is that the right way of saying it, or what?
Yeah.
What happened?
Okay, so since we've got time to kill, so I literally so obviously I'm a teacher and we've been coaching rugby and that stuff at the moment, just before school ended. And I decided, let me just play around with my under 15 rugby boys. Let me train with them to feel a little bit of fitness, so I feel good. And we're doing this drill forwards versus backline, and I used to play backline in high school. So I decided, cool, I'm going to play with these oaks now and train with them. So one of the forwards kicked the rugby ball in the air, and I don't know what possessed me, but I ran and sprinted after to make sure I caught this ball without letting it bounce. And next minute, it felt like I tripped over something, or I hit a ditch, and then I tripped and landed on my knees. And according to my colleague, on impact, both my knees, I felt both of them pop. But I wasn't near anybody. It's not like I got tackled by anybody. It felt like I tripped. I'd like hit a ditch and my legs buckled. But I ended up dislocating both knees. So both of my patellas completely ripped off.
And you had an operation?
Yeah, so I ended up at Mill Park Hospital. I got taken to the hospital. Paramedics came to school, and literally when this whole thing happened, I lay on the rugby field and we phoned the ambulance to come fetch me, and no ambulance were available because of COVID. So we were like, oh geez, so we were going to try to take me in one of my colleagues' buckies, and I couldn't move. I had to lie in a fetal position on the field. Couldn't move. Eventually, Emergy Med came out. So shout out to Emergy Med because they were flipping amazing. And one lady that helped me, Shame, she was like, do you want to go to sleep before we move you? So I was like, oh, that would be amazing, please. And she gave me, I was like, what are you going to give me? She goes, no, I'm going to give you ketamine. So I was like, that sounds quite dangerous, but I'm excited. Let's do it. Injects it anyway through the drip, and next minute I'm passed out. I wake up and I'm in the ambulance, and I'm like, where the hell am I? She's like, do you know where you are? And I couldn't speak, bro. I was like, she's like, yeah, you can't speak. Just let it die out a little bit. So I was like, okay, shit. So eventually,
was your mind working at that point?
Yeah,
or was it just you couldn't form words?
I couldn't. Yeah, so my mind was working. So I knew what I wanted to say. And the lady kept asking me, or the paramedic kept asking me questions. And I was like, how do I come? I can't speak to her. I like, literally, it felt like I was on drugs or I was drunk. I didn't know what to say. So eventually my words came out, but I was just lying on my side the whole time, and got to Mill Park Hospital, got put into trauma unit, and like in a corner, luckily I was away from everybody because everyone that was coming in there was sick and COVID, and so I was like, oh my shit, today's the day I'm getting COVID, bro. And then, yeah, I lay there for like 2.5 hours in pain, no pain meds, nothing, and half of the nurses are just walking around, and I was getting so angry. I was frustrated because that pain was just kicking in, and I was like, please, can you just help me?
Just give me more drugs, please.
I was like, just give me something that helps so I can, And then eventually I go to x-rays, and the lady in x-rays is like, okay, we need to flip you onto your back. That was the most painful feeling ever because it felt like when I turned, my knees were going to pop. Even though I had none in any case, it felt like they were going to rip or something. Eventually get on the x-rays, do that, go back into trauma, I lie there again. Then the doctor eventually comes, oh no, okay, we're going to literally straighten your legs now, but we need to put you out again. So they put me out again. I think I got there at about 4:15, I got into the hospital. I got a bed that night at 11:30.
Jeez.
I got into a bed, they put me in a section, and then I slept that night. and that was the Tuesday. I only got operated on the following Monday. So I stayed in hospital that entire time. I got operated on the following Monday, stayed that night, and then left that Tuesday only, bro. So I literally had a full hospital experience of
So do you
spending
have metal in your knees?
So what the doctor said, from what my understanding is that he's drilled holes into my patellas. So my ligaments, let's put it this way, my ligaments were intact. That was the main thing that they were stressed about. Because if the ligaments were stuffed, then it was a even bigger problem. But it was still a big problem regardless. So my patella was completely ripped off. So what he did is the tendons had to be repaired, and the patella had to have holes drilled into it, and I've got a wire apparently running through my knee or something like that. And that wire is there so that I'm basically able to walk again. If that wire wasn't there, to be able to walk again would take a longer time. There would be a longer time period. But now that the wire's in there, it apparently speeds up the process and helps me like when I start rehab and all of that stuff, I'm able to walk again apparently. So yeah, bro. So it's still a long journey, but so far, as my understanding, I've literally got wires in my knees.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, you guys would have seen those photos that Chris's legs are straight. He can't bend them.
Yeah.
So he's underneath the table right now. His legs are straight on the wheelchair.
Literally. Bro.
So I mean, you're literally walking like when you got your crutches.
Yeah. So like the crutches, everything is like literally just dead straight. So it's bit by bit, walk slowly. So I am able to stand. Like if I have to take my crutches away, I am able to stand and move my legs, but it's dead straight. The problem is where, like I say, that I'm going to struggle to walk is obviously when you walk, your knees bend the whole time when you walk. That's something that my legs aren't going to be able to do now, and rehab's going to have to fix that because they're so used to being straight now. My legs and knees are going to be so stiff that I'm going to have to try bend that again and try do that, which is, I think, is a bit guck.
Yeah, well, we wish you all the best on that, bro.
Shot, bro. Yeah, no, it's gonna be tough, but it should be fun.
So you've been confined to your house. Obviously, you watched the rugby last night, the British and Irish Lions versus our Lions.
To be honest, I watched the first 10 minutes, and 2 tries were already scored in 10 minutes, and then I was like, no, like I'm a Lions supporter, but I don't have faith in this. I knew either way, that British and Irish Lions team, I knew they were going to destroy the Lions. And I mean, our Lions side that we have now, obviously the Springboks are out, so the Lions players that are Springboks.
It's only one player though.
Yeah, technically, yeah.
But also in the Curry Cup, they only came like 4th or something.
But that's the thing. So it's the whole Curry Cup team, but it's also all youngsters, bro. It's all young guys that are, which is good. I don't have an issue with that. It's bringing up it's the up-and-coming rugby players and youngsters that are going to be filling the voids for those guys that end up retiring. So it's a good thing, but...
I was reading an article because I wanted to just find some information about it. And the Irish Times, they released some article where it was South African rugby, because obviously the economy is terrible, and it said that if this tour does not happen, South Africa would lose 6.6 billion rand because of tourism and because of obviously sponsors towards the games, everything. So fortunately, it obviously did happen.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting I mean, obviously no one was in the stadiums, no one was there to watch, and I wonder how much money has been lost. You know, advertising less, or there's players getting paid less. I don't
know, bro. I honestly look, this whole thing of not allowing people into stadiums, it's a big grey area for me. I personally believe that it's possible to allow people into stadiums.
20% of the stadium even.
Because you look at a stadium, I mean, Ellis Park is capable, I think, of filling about 80,000. I stand to be corrected, obviously. Probably about 80,000.
One Soccer City, the Nelson Mandela one, that is the biggest one in South Africa. I think it's 90.
There you go. So 90,000. You're telling me that you can't fit 20,000 people in there with social distancing? And obviously, yes, things have to be limited. So yes, your bar alcohol consumption, you can't open bars. Unfortunately, that's going to be harsh reality. We know a lot of people go to the games just to get pissed in any case. But cut that shit out. That's fine. Doesn't need to be there to watch the sport. But then you can fit people. I mean, England are going through... I feel like England are always going into a lockdown. The UK is always in a lockdown. But at Wembley the other night, they had, I think, 50,000 people to watch the Euros.
What percentage of the capacity is that?
I'm not sure. I know Wembley's a huge-ass stadium, so I don't know. But
how was the spacing? Like if you looked at
on top of one another, on top of one another. King William was there with Kate. Prince William was there with Kate, and their son George watching the football. And I was like, no masks, nothing as well.
Sure.
But I mean, the UK are always the ones that are going into a lockdown, because I mean, I've got mates in the UK, and it's always like, oh no, they're going into a lockdown now for a week or 2 weeks. And I'm like, you guys are always in a lockdown. I suppose if we had the money in our country as well, we would also do that. But yeah.
It's just sad because I don't know if, in terms of what the advertisers are paying, if there's a same amount of advertisers paying sponsors, because obviously now maybe it just costs more to sponsor because everyone's watching.
Yeah.
So those like little ad breaks, those little videos, little pop-up things that come up, maybe those are making up the cost in terms of advertisers. And also, fortunately, the whole field, so like the advertisers on the outside of the fields are still being shown.
Yeah.
But I wonder how much money has been lost if
know.
if the players have been paid less.
I reckon there's gang money that's gone down the tube with regards to all of that stuff, because I don't know. Like I would say, I would find it quite interesting to actually Google and find out about
That's
how
the
much
problem
has
in
been
South
lost,
Africa as well.
but I don't know.
We can't really find out the
That's the
exact
thing.
salaries of the
That's the
players
thing,
either.
we
Have
won't
they been
even
kept
know.
less? Yeah.
So I highly doubt that the players have taken a pay cut. I highly doubt, but I definitely think those people are advertising over there, but I reckon they pay less to, like, if you now want to go advertise just the studios at Ellis Park, for instance, they're gonna you're not gonna go in there and they're gonna give you a number and you're gonna be like, why must I pay that?
Why
much?
must I pay the same if
When there's no one in the stadium, when I'm not going to benefit much from it, I'll still pay, but I'm going to pay half of it at least. So I think that might be the case, bro. I don't see why they would pay full amount for sport that's not even taking place, bro. So
Have you been following this drama with Britney Spears?
no, dude, I've seen the things on Facebook and all of that stuff. I just don't know what's happening. I don't think nothing's popped up on my Facebook or social media or Instagram to show what's happening with Rio. I've just seen people mention stuff, Britney this, Britney that, but I'm like, I don't know what the fuck's happening.
Yeah, so she is basically in a conservatorship. So basic conservatorship, I just want to say it correctly, conservatorship. So essentially, that's basically what it usually happens with old people, where they are not mentally stable to handle their own money, handle their day-to-day lives, businesses. So someone is appointed to handle the things for them.
Yeah.
So obviously I don't know if this was the reason because of it, but I mean, Britney has attacked, obviously we know about her shaving her hair off. She attacked a cameraman with an umbrella, that kind of stuff, which obviously paints the picture that she is mentally unstable.
Yeah.
So her dad handles all her money basically and handles a team of lawyers, but he gets to choose who the lawyers are. They handle the money, and now she's in court fighting it, saying, I want, my money. I want to be able to handle all this stuff. And she isn't even allowed to choose her legal team. Her dad has to choose the legal team that's representing her.
Yeah.
She isn't, he controls basically, she's got something in her body that stops her from falling pregnant. He controls if the doctors take it out or not. Like there's so much. And I think she gets like 0.1% of her income.
Yeah.
He won't allow her to drive in a car alone with her boyfriend. It's hectic stuff, bro. Like the drama that goes around with Britney. I think that on Showmax there's a documentary. I haven't watched it.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting to see how she is being controlled. Obviously, she's definitely cooked. There's no doubt about that.
100%.
The whole conspiracy where people were watching her Instagram videos and like they were commenting, blink with your left eye if you are, being repressed and almost trapped by your dad or whatever.
Yes.
And like there was a whole conspiracy theory about it. It's crazy.
No, dude, I haven't. Yeah, like I said, I haven't seen. But that's mad. I haven't seen any of this stuff. I must actually go look it up. But I mean, she's loopy, bro. Like, yes, I think I came across a long time ago. Came across an Instagram video of her just on my Explore, and she was dancing in her house. And I looked at her, and she was dancing in a crop top and these little shorts, and I'm like, this chick's fucking loopy, bro. Like you could just see in her face that she was not all together. And I was like, nah, this chick has gone off the rails. Now you say this stuff, and that's just like the icing on top of the cake.
Yeah.
Oh no, I've seen people posting about it and mentioning it, but no ways, bro.
And it's just ridiculous how people are commenting and like saying, Brittany, if you are being trapped, if you are being held against your will, you know, raise your right arm in the next video. Like, there's so much stuff where people are like asking her to do things. But I think if she truly was being under control,
Yeah.
she wouldn't be able to read the comments, or she wouldn't be able to do posts on social media that she wants to do.
Exactly.
Because obviously it'll be very easy for her to get
Yeah.
a message out there if she was doing all of those things.
Yeah. No, flipping on, bro. That chick's, she's cracked out, bro. She's literally mad.
And I mean, boxing now, there was those TikTokers versus YouTubers
Oh, yes.
where, you know, those guys, Austin McBroom fought Bryce Hall.
Yes.
And it was actually quite funny where at the beginning of the fights, or before the fights, Bryce was like, I'm a fighter, I can do this, I can beat him, whatever. And then after the fight, when Bryce lost, he was like, no, I never once said I was a fighter, I was just doing this.
Bro.
And then like there was video footage of him tuning how he's been training, how he is a fighter. And then it's just crazy how like Logan and Jake can start this, and then it can just escalate. Now anyone with fame can start boxing.
Dude, I don't know, bro. Flip. Like I watched that Austin McBroom and Bryce Hall fight, bro, and literally, and then 2 days later, I saw a post of them together as mates having a drink somewhere, and I was like, "You guys are just a bunch of wankers, to be dead honest. Excuse my language, but geez, you guys are losers, bro." Like,
They just do it for money, bro.
look, at the end of the day, it is all for money. It's typical YouTube and TikTok thing vibes that they've got going. It's all for the money and that stuff. But I mean, look, to me, I'm not a professional boxer. I'm not a boxer whatsoever. But to me, they're taking the piss out of the sport, bro. If I was a boxer, I'd actually be like, okay, come, let's go square up now and let me knock your lights out to teach you a lesson that you don't ever make a fool of the sport again, bro. Because I don't see the point in there. They're just trying to prove a point, and they all run their mouths. They've got the biggest mouths ever. Oh, I can box. I'm going to knock your head off. Oh, my bro. Then you start swinging like this and doing swings from down here to hit the oak. Then don't tell me you're a boxer, bro. Like, I'm not a professional boxer, but at least I know I can box if I want to box, but I'm not going to be swinging with my arms coming out like this. And that's exactly what all of those oaks did, bro. And I was just like, this is a joke. It's really a joke.
Yeah,
bro.
I think it's a fine line between trying to sell the fight.
Yeah.
You know, obviously before the fight, talking smack about your opponent and talking about them to generate some sort of hype.
Yeah.
But then also you kind of need to back up what you're saying
No,
once you get in
exactly.
the ring.
But that's the thing. I think also even before that main YouTube TikTok fight, there was also a video of Bryce and they were on separate boats somewhere, and they came past one another. And Bryce was running his mouth at him, tuning, "Yeah, I'm going to take you out. I'll back it up in the ring when we fight in 2 days' time." And then literally got his lights knocked out. And I was like, okay, well, you know, talk so much smack. But I mean, I see that everywhere, bro. I saw, we've got a ghost in this.
Which lights is it up
That
here?
one there.
Oh,
We've got a
hectic.
ghost in our podcast. But I've seen a few things like that before as well, just on Facebook and that, of, I think, MMA fights or even normal boxing matches, bro. The biggest loudmouth ever, running his mouth, going, and the other guy just stands there and he keeps dead quiet. Then when they step in the ring there and he teaches him a lesson. But I think that's one thing as well I've noticed, even with like Kevin, bro. Kevin's a quiet boxer. He doesn't say a word, my bro. Like, yes, he'll be like, okay, I'm going to win my fights. He's positive. I'm being optimistic. I mean, that's what you got to be.
Yeah.
You know, I'm ready. I'm going to take this oak out. But he's not going to go and sit there and be like, I'm going to make a whole scene. I'm going to fuck you up. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Just quiet and humble and prove your point in the ring, bro. And that's exactly what half of the oaks do. Instead of just running your mouth, just keep quiet. If the other oak wants to scream at you and go on, just relax, because then you prove your point in the ring. Then he's never, ever going to run his mouth again. So,
Well, I mean, those oaks are talking so much. They were saying how much money they're going to make, how many people are going to pay to watch the fight. And they said they were going to get 500,000 pay-per-view buys.
Yeah.
And they only got like 136,000.
Exactly.
And then the organizers didn't even make enough money to pay. Because, I mean, I think like Offset and I don't know what other artists performed there.
Yes.
Obviously, we know like Justin Bieber performed
Yes, yeah.
for Logan's fight.
Yeah.
But now these TikTokers versus YouTubers also had someone performing. And, I mean, obviously they need to be paid as well.
Yeah.
And none of the fighters have been paid.
Yeah. But that's the
Because
thing.
there was not enough people that tuned in, but also it's because there was a UFC fight that same weekend,
Yeah, you see.
that same night. And I mean, if you had a choice and you truly actually do care about fighting, you're
You'd
going to
rather
watch
watch
the
UFC.
proper actual fighters do it.
Yeah, but that's I think it was I think it was definitely Jake, not Logan. Jake put up a video with regards to that TikTok YouTubers fight, and he spoke about their money that they were going to get so many pay-per-views, and he goes, "What a joke, bro! They didn't even get half of the pay-per-views that they wanted." And he literally, I think that was on his recent vlog that he put out. And I was like, oh, it's true though. I mean, okay, the Logan Paul and Jake Paul fights get the pay-per-views, but I mean, that TikTokers YouTube fight will never ever get so many.
See, the reason why
pay-per-view
like
views,
Logan
bro.
and this fight worked so well is because they fought actual fighters. So obviously Floyd Mayweather boxing fans or
Yeah.
just boxing fans in general are gonna watch it because they're like the best boxer in the world's fighting a YouTuber, and then obviously Logan's fans.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's just TikTokers versus YouTubers, most of their audience is probably like 16 to 25,
thing.
even younger.
Facts.
And their parents would be like, no, I'm not going to pay for you to watch this fight. Or they're not going to get the actual boxing people
Yeah.
interested in it. It's just going to be the fans.
Yeah.
And then probably, obviously, a lot less of their fans. I mean, 136,000 people.
Yeah.
That's probably like 10% of all of those people's fans together. And then they still had the music artists.
Yeah.
So it actually shows how few people that is. Because, I mean, just look at Austin. I think he's got like, I don't know, 4 million subscribers on YouTube. Him alone should have brought in more than 100,000 people.
Yeah, easily.
If he truly has those fans.
Yes.
And that just shows that they weren't actually that interested. Because if Bryce Hall with 20 million TikTok followers, with all of these oaks with probably like 500,000 or
Yeah.
500 million people
Yeah.
that follow them, maybe some of them are obviously the same people,
Yeah.
they don't even tune in to watch the
Exactly.
fight. So it kind of shows at what point you draw the line and say, this is for money, but it's also stupid and it's not actually going to generate money at the end of it.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, bro. I don't know how their minds work. I think it's all just for the clout, bro. It's just to show that they're out there and to maybe they're just changing things up a little bit. Maybe they just want to be a bit different instead of just doing the usual TikTok video or the usual YouTube video. They just want to change things up a little bit. But I mean, don't make this huge hype about it, bro.
Yeah.
Like honestly,
I respect getting in the ring. I mean,
Fair
there's no
enough,
joke
yes.
getting into a ring with anyone.
Yeah, no, you got to have balls regardless. It's not just, I mean, you're going in there to get that glove. It connects you properly on the jaw. It's going to hurt like hell. So it's not like I would be able to just randomly get up there and be like, okay, cool, I'm going to go fight one of these elks now. It's not going to work like that. So, but yeah, no, look, I mean, in Logan Paul's case, then fuck, bro. I know I'm going to get 20 million out of this. I'm going to be like, okay, sweet, I'm going to train. I'm going to get my jaw broken by Mayweather. I don't give a shit, bro. I'm getting 20 million. But where these other O's are like, oh shit, I'm probably going to get my jaw cracked, but I'm not even going to get paid.
Yeah.
So, no, bro. Ugh, no.
Well, speaking
Stupid
of
shit.
Kevin, it's unfortunate now that his hand.
Did you see
I
his
was watching the
Instagram?
videos of his
Bro.
story. It was crazy.
I was lying in bed watching this and I was like, no. And I found that cool. I was like, I wish I could have done that for my knees when I went in for the op. So I was like, oh, can I have vlog content over here?
Yeah.
But I saw that, like, obviously I think this is the second time or third time he's had a surgery before. And he's also put a video up of him showing them what he was doing. But it's fascinating, bro. I saw that when the doctor moves his hand like
And you
that.
see the
and
tendon moving between the
dude,
muscle.
It was so gross, but I was like, this is actually quite cool, though.
Yeah, I'd actually love to chat to him because he had a tattoo there.
Yes,
and obviously the skin was like
saw
lifted
that.
up. So I'd love to know, like, after the surgery, after the scarring is healed
Yeah.
or whatever, if the tattoo's damaged or, obviously, I assume we probably have to get touch-ups.
Yeah.
But it also depends how it was cut.
I also saw that, dude, because I saw the tattoo there and I was like, oh my word, that's so weird. That's such an odd spot now. Like, what the hell happens now that they've done that? Yeah, no, I saw that, bro. I couldn't. But yeah, was it when you did that podcast with him? Was he injured then already?
He was probably maybe like nursing an injury,
Yeah.
but he was set to fight.
Yes,
So he was
training.
training. I think he was training in Namibia. I believe he went to
okay.
Namibia for fight camp, or the final stage of fight camp for
Yeah.
like 2 weeks. So I think it was literally like a week or 2 weeks before the fight
Yeah.
that the injury just kind of had got to a point where he's like, okay, well, actually, we need to operate on this. So
Oh my gosh.
I think he made the
Fuck, bro.
announcement like a week and a half before the fight saying, well, I can't fight, unfortunately. I'm going to have to go and get the surgery.
Yeah, I checked. I did see that on his Instagram, but yeah, I wasn't sure what it was from though. But like I think it was just from boxing the bag and that stuff. That as
Yeah,
well. It's
from
just,
sparring. Well, I think it's also just always maybe he had that injury
Yeah,
and he just constantly tried to push through it, and then
Yeah.
it got to a point where you're gonna lose your hand almost
Yeah,
if you don't do
okay.
the surgery.
And speaking of that as well, we mentioned the other day that after you're competing, you're gonna get into the ring next year.
I want to, bro. That's my goal. 2022, I'm gonna do a white collar boxing
I
match.
think you should, bro. I think that's gonna be dope. I think after the bodybuilding this year, bodybuilding's done, scrapped, and finished. And then you got to definitely give the boxing, because I mean you're training, so you
Yeah.
might as well.
I'm doing boxing 3 times a week, and I'm not gonna obviously set my goals on becoming the next Kevin, obviously.
No, obviously.
But I
not.
mean, just having that experience of fighting an amateur person myself, just a little white collar bout, you know,
Yeah.
once or twice in my life. Maybe I really enjoy it and I want to try and
Shit,
continue
you never
it.
know.
But obviously, I'm never going to set the goal. I mean, I'm 25 now. Next year, I'll be 26. It's impossible to.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say impossible, but it's not likely that I'll ever
Yeah,
become
yeah,
a
yeah.
professional boxer.
Yeah, no, fair enough. But still, I think you should do it. I think that would be quite dope, actually.
Yeah.
I would definitely like to see that.
Bro, so Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, or
Yeah.
the CEO until tomorrow. So tomorrow he's stepping down as the CEO. So
Yeah.
he's going to be more focusing on that space exploration that he's doing, that other company that he's obviously focusing on, trying to do essentially what Elon Musk is doing. So he's stepping down. He's still obviously going to have some sort of role. But have you heard the drama of, like, the things that Amazon do? It's actually ridiculous. So there was a company that used to sell tripods
Yeah.
on Amazon's website. And I won't tell you the exact percentage, but it was like 0.1% of Amazon's total income that this tripod company was bringing in.
Yeah.
Which for one company of a multi-billion-dollar company is quite a bit.
Yeah.
Even 1.1% of whatever billion is a lot.
Yeah.
So what Amazon did is they copied this product and then they started selling their own version of it and didn't allow this company to sell their products through Amazon anymore.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Like, how ridiculous is that to have monopoly of the market so much that you
Yeah.
see, this product's doing so well.
We'll make
One
our own.
individual product, let's not allow them to sell on our service, and we do it ourselves.
Surely you can take him to court for that, though.
Yeah, I wonder if they did.
Can you?
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I wouldn't know. But I would like, that's quite easy, because if it's your design or whatever.
I assume, obviously, maybe it wasn't patented because, I mean, a tripod is a tripod.
Yeah.
And there's so many different companies that
Yeah.
do it. But, literally what they did, they saw how cool it was, and they completely took it off their services and made their own and started selling it.
No, that's a bit of a dick move.
At the end of the day, it's business, bro. But also, it's difficult because, I mean, I'm sure that Amazon could do that with almost everything.
Probably could. They've got the money to do it, so why not? So now if Bezos is stepping down from tomorrow, I think Amazon's going to take a dip in there.
I wonder if their stock prices or whatever,
That's
the
what
share
I'm
price
saying.
is going to go
I think
down.
I would like to actually see now if Amazon's going to... They definitely are. Because, I mean, if you think of it, I think it was Tesla at a stage. I think, I could be mistaken, when Elon Musk was the richest man in the world for that whole one day. I think the Tesla stock market, all of that, everything went up. And the moment he dropped back down to second, it just like went straight down.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I don't know if it was that or the SpaceX. I could be wrong. But something
Well,
dipped.
he definitely, obviously, it was literally like for a week. He was
Yeah.
the richest man in the world. And then Amazon, I don't know if it was Jeff that went above him, but there was some other person that was also, it was always like the top three.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting. I was actually thinking about it and wondering, like, how calculated these things are. So when Elon went on Joe Rogan's podcast and smoked that joint and the stock prices went down,
Yeah.
I wonder how calculated it was, where Elon thought about this. He's like, okay, cool, I'm going to smoke this joint. I know that the share price is going to go down.
Yeah.
That way we maybe have, like, do they take advantage of that? Because they say, okay, cool, it's going to go down. Then we can buy more of our own stock.
Yeah.
And then we know it's going to recover.
Yeah.
And then this Tesla goes down, they buy more,
Yeah.
or people sell and they buy more, and then it goes up. Like, I wonder how much like inside trading it is,
Oh, no shit.
because I mean that's what Elon did with Bitcoin,
Yeah.
where he bought Bitcoin and then announced how much he had bought, and then the stock, it went up, and then Tesla made more profits by holding Bitcoin for a month.
Yeah.
than they had made in their entire existence.
Jeez, lock it.
So it's ridiculous to see, like, and I wonder, like, how much of it is calculated, like what Elon does, especially all his tweets, because I mean, his tweets have so much power.
Yeah. Nah, I have no idea, my bro. Like, I'm very bad with following all of that stuff. Horribly bad when it comes to following that stuff. But I know, like you say, his tweets and all of that stuff, he can just say something, or he can tell someone. He's literally can control the world.
He's definitely one of the most influential people
like
right
he
now.
can tell you now, go and buy this light bulb. Tell you now, half of the world will go and buy that bloody light bulb the moment he tells you to go.
Well, that's
buy
what he did with that silly company or whatever his other company is, where he made that flamethrower.
Yes.
He made it as a joke.
Yeah.
He just made it because he could.
Yeah.
And then I don't know how many units he sold, but he sold out within like a first hour of making
my
a flamethrower. I mean, what is anyone actually going to do with a
Yeah, I
flamethrower?
know.
But then he sold out. He just made, okay, well, I want to make a flamethrower. That would be cool. Let me do that. And then he sells out instantly.
No ways, bro. Yeah, you see, that just shows you the power that man has. And to think he's just from a casual O from Pretoria at the end of the day.
But he hates South
But
Africa.
he hates South Africa, though. That's the best part, bro. The man hates us with a passion, but he's from Pretoria. What a solid chap he is, bro.
So COVID, it's a scary time with COVID, and you obviously, or you're out of school because you can't go teach and everything. But what communications has the school said in terms of like learners?
So, well, with regard, I mean, I haven't been at school now for almost 2 weeks, but now that after that whole, so after Cyril spoke and all of that stuff, then Angie Musheka, what you call Minister of Education, she spoke, and what is today? Today's Sunday. So this past week, she ended school on Wednesday, and I know at my school we started our control tests. So it's basically exams. The department wanted us to call them control tests. We started the control tests on that Monday, and she was closing the school on the Wednesday. So this now, with this whole COVID thing now it's throwing a span in the works now, because the kids wrote Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but now they've missed the rest of the control test. So now we've got to make up for that in the third term. And all that's going to do now is going to set us back now with regards to school now. So parents have been notified, yes, we've got control tests, so that's fine, that's chilled. But in my opinion, it's just going to set everything back now. But the Minister of Education's told you school's got to close by then, so there's not much you can do. But it's a stuff up, bro.
You obviously were teaching up until you got injured.
Yeah.
When schools were able, this year, most of the year, schools have been functioning relatively normal. How have you seen a difference, like in the kids compared to, because of the difficult lockdown and digital learning and everything we did last year? Once they came back, did you see like a difference in like?
To be honest, I definitely think like last year when we had that proper lockdown and we moved on to online learning, the kids' marks immediately reflected in, when did we come back? I think it was term 3 we came back. Their marks immediately reflected, and already there was a gap in their learning from when they came back to school. Because, like we say, online learning, you're sitting at home, you've got your laptop. If your parents are at work, Chana, you're not going to be working, my bro. I can speak for myself, and I'm pretty sure you can. Your parents aren't at home, stuff work. You aren't doing work, bro. So, and already my kids told me, sir, we used to come onto your lessons, all we did was log on with the laptop and we would disappear. Or we'll go game, or we'll go do whatever and chill and watch TV. So I was like, okay, so there you go. That already explains it. And it showed in their marks in term 3. And I mean, all I can say to them, I was like, I can tell half of you that were at the online lessons and half of you that weren't at the online lessons, because the work that I'm like teaching you now, or the work that you've been tested on, you're not getting the marks for. But the kids that did attend it did fine. So that's the thing. It definitely, with that online period, and still, I mean, schools are still doing that online. I definitely think there is a gap when it comes to their knowledge and their understanding of work. It depends on the schools. I mean, like Crawford and that stuff, they're doing online now for 2 weeks until schools go back. But I think like you look at the primary school side of Crawford, their kids are fine though. Like I mean, they're able to do that stuff. They're a private school. They've got the funds to be able to ensure that they have all of these apps and all of the fancy
And the
stuff.
parents can afford
And the
nice
parents can-
computers
that's
and
the thing, bro.
tablets and stuff.
It's literally. I mean, Steph speaks about it, and the kids are able to. They've just done this new Toddle app or whatever it may be, and it's this whole thing. You can do so much on it, bro, for education purposes. And I'm like, okay, cool. This is nice, and this isn't gonna cause any gaps in the kids' learning in their education whatsoever. But now you come to like my school now, we're a government school. Yes, we're an amazing government school, but you must remember we're taking kids from everywhere, bro. So you've got your kids that have their resources, that are able to use a laptop. Mom or dad has a laptop, or they've got their own laptops and they're able to do it. Or they've got their iPhones, they can use their iPhone. You've got the kids that live in Windsor, my bro. They can't afford a laptop. Their parents can't afford a cell phone. What do? They can't learn. So that's already setting back. Or if they've got a cell phone, they don't have the data. So I know at school we did provide data at a point. We were giving data to those kids that
How would
needed
that
it.
work? Would you buy like Vodacom?
I don't even know. I'm not too sure. I think the exec worked with it. They did it. But I know that we did give out data and that stuff to the kids that really needed it. But it's just it's those kids are the ones that now don't have a laptop, don't have a cell phone. They're the ones that fall behind. And then that causes a huge problem because then our failure rate goes up.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not like you're deliberately going out there to fail kids. I mean, we have our meetings where we don't want to fail kids. We try to push them through as much as we can because we believe that they have the knowledge. But because of COVID, and that was last year's case, we didn't fail many kids, to be dead honest, because of the whole lockdown with kids not having online access, all of that stuff. It was like, okay, we've got to push them through, and hopefully next year there's no gap in their education and in their knowledge that's going to mess them over for the next grade, because obviously everything follows on to the next grade. So yeah, it's COVID at school is hectic. But I mean, look, COVID in school at my school, it hasn't been circulating in the school. That's the one thing I can say. Our protocols and measures have been so good. We've hired a medic as well. So if you're feeling sick, yes, you go tell him, you go home instantly. That's the casual thing. But we've never had our stuff circulating in school. It's more outside school. Parents have got COVID, give it to the kids. Or the kids just being doff and going to parties and getting it, but then they don't come to school. So we've never had it in school circulation, which is amazing. But it's the outside stuff that's literally, and now recently, this past term, I can comfortably say our numbers were huge with COVID. But yeah.
Yeah, it's scary, bro. And I just want to, going back, it was actually just something clever. Going back to the data thing, and obviously data in poorer, segments of the country is obviously, it's like gold. I mean, for anyone, data is amazing to have. But there was actually one of my clients, he designed this app, right? So if you download this app, obviously you need data to download the app.
Yeah.
And then you watch 2 videos.
Yeah.
That and advertisers pay to make you watch the videos.
Yeah.
Or they pay the company that designed the app certain amount. Then their videos show before. And then whoever watches it gets 100 megs of data.
Jeez, okay.
So it's quite a clever concept where you basically download an app to get data.
Yeah.
But you first have to watch a certain amount of adverts before.
Okay.
And I don't, obviously I assume maybe the videos that you watch, you're not streaming it because then obviously you're using more data.
Yeah.
So maybe they preload it into the app, and then obviously when the app updates, then new adverts come in and stuff. But it's clever where, let's say, okay, well, you pay 50,000 Rand. Everyone that downloads this app is going to have to watch your video fully for 30 seconds to get their free data.
Yeah.
So it's a clever concept.
That is.
So essentially it's an app that you can download just to get data.
Yeah.
And then like once a month you just watch, maybe, I don't know how often it was, maybe it was once a week, once a month or whatever, but you get free data for watching adverts.
Yeah, that's clever, bro. That is very clever. I think that's a great concept.
I don't know if it's still functioning, but when I saw it about 2 years ago, I was like, oh, this is really cool.
Okay, yeah, you see, yeah. Oh, it would be, look, I mean, yeah, like you say, data's gold, bro. Even for me, to be dead honest with you, and for you as well. Bro, data, it comes and goes. I mean, when I was in hospital, I burned through data. I would buy like 2 gigs of data. I'm literally on Instagram for 10 minutes. 2 gigs is done. And I'm like, this is a joke.
Yeah.
I haven't done anything. I haven't posted nothing. I've just
And that's
scrolled.
like theoretically 300 rand.
Exactly.
It's
It's
like
literally
150
300
rand
bucks.
for a
And
gig.
I'm like, there goes 2 gigs of data. Now what? Now I've got to buy more. And
Yeah.
I was just like, no. And I mean, there were days the Wi-Fi worked. And then some
Oh,
days
so there is Wi-Fi in
so
the
there is
hospital.
Wi-Fi, but as you get limited, like I could go one day, I could watch Netflix, YouTube, go through the whole day. Then the next day I try to go on and it says, no, you've used your daily limit. And I'm like, crap. So then I have to sit that whole day without anything like that. So that was the stuff up when it came to that, bro. But data's golden. But I mean, like I say, with regards to those kids at school, bro, they can't. I mean, you've seen it. You go into a shop there, person comes in there who's less, not so privileged enough to buy data, is just going to have 10 Rand Vodacom or something. That's all they can afford, bro.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. And I know, I can tell you now, 50 megs or 100 megs is not going to get you through an online lesson for an entire
definitely.
day of school. So,
Well, like I know my like domestic worker,
yeah.
they won't be able to, like they still send please call me's. Like
Yeah.
you don't think that's a thing anymore, but it is,
Yeah.
Like my domestic worker, if she needs to get hold of me, she can't message me because she doesn't have data. So she needs to send me a please call me so that I can phone her.
Yeah.
And it's
Shame.
different. Like you don't understand actually. I mean, you go through 300 rands worth of data in a day. Like, okay, if it's not the end of the world, at the end of the week, I'll buy more.
Yeah.
Whereas for them, it's like 300 rand is a full day's work for them.
That's the thing,
That,
bro.
I mean, that 300 rand that they earn in a day needs to go to their family, needs to pay whatever rent, it needs to go to maybe some of those kids' school, clothes, food. And I mean, for us, 300 rand, like obviously it's not easy to spend 300 rand of data in one day, but I mean, we can afford it. Whereas for them, 300 rand is like, it's amazing to have 300. I mean, that's also, I mean, we stop on the side of the road, you see someone, you got 2 rand, you give it to 2 rand. Like, you don't actually understand the value that 2 rand has.
No, I agree, bro. We live in this world where people are fortunate and there are obviously people who are not fortunate at all. And it's heartbreaking, bro. That's like me when I drive in the car and I see a guy on the side of the road. And if I'm eating something in the car, dude, I literally put it down because I just feel so bad. And I understand, yes, okay, sometimes I'm like, okay, dude, you can go try get work. But I mean, it's easy to say that, but it's not that easy to go and do. And we live in a world where it's just FIP. You've got to fight for what you want in this world, unfortunately. And you've got to, if you've come from an unfortunate background, then hopefully, things work out your way that you're able to, be able to go somewhere, get enough money, or do something to earn enough money to go maybe get an education or do something. But, if you're not going to try, then it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's a horrible thing, bro. I mean, I absolutely hate when I drive on the road and I see, someone begging on the side of the road. It's a horrible thing, but I mean...
Yeah, I mean, I'll be driving and I'll see someone... I'll be driving and I'll see someone and I'll look at them and be like, why am I so fortunate?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't do anything actually to be able to be in the position I am. Yeah. We were born into parents that had jobs. We were born into parents that could afford to send us to school. Yeah. Why are we more fortunate than that person on the side of the road? And it's difficult to, sometimes as a human, we kind of be like, okay, yes, it is. Life is unfair. And you kind of have to make the most of what you were given, but also it is easier saying that from a point of privilege. Yes. But you need to look at the people and be like, okay, well, maybe he has been given tons of opportunities. Yes. Maybe she has been given tons of opportunities, but she chooses to sit with her young 6-month-old baby on the side of the road because it's easier. Yes. And that's what I hate, is with seeing little kids on the side of the road. Seeing little kids that, like, I mean, right by my house there, around Northgate, there's a lady that sits with 3 of her kids. One's like 1 year old, can't even walk or anything. She's like holding it strapped to her body. The other one, like this 2-year-old kid playing with sticks. And then the other is like a 4-year-old. Like it's scary seeing that because they are there. They're probably going to end up in the same position she's in.
Yeah, they don't know. They don't know any better. They see this. They think this is their norm. And that's what they're going to do when they get older. But that also drives me through the roof. I can't stand it, bro. When it's like 38 degrees outside, and you're sitting there with this little 1-year-old strapped to you, I'm like, come on now. Like, I understand, yes, it's not easy to be like, to go randomly get a job. But I can tell you now, there are multiple people out in this world that are looking for domestic workers, bro.
Yeah.
It's like at least make some sort of effort just to go somewhere and maybe apply for something that you don't have to put your child through this, because that, like I say, it's, and I know half of those, like I've seen scandals and all of that stuff. The women sit there with their children, but they use their children just to get the pity
Or it's
from
not
people.
even their children.
It's
They're
not
using
even
someone else's
That's the
kids.
thing. I've literally heard stories of people sitting on the side of the road, but taking their friends' children to sit with them just so they can try get money out of it. That I find bullshit, bro.
But it's also difficult because if, let's say, this lady lives in a township, she brings her kids there because obviously she can't leave them at home. Who does she leave the kids with? That's the difficult thing is, we might not understand the home environment or the lack of home environment, because these kids now who do they stay with? A cousin, whatever. But all of the people around this lady is also out begging, or they actually do have jobs. So it's also, if it is 100% legit, I understand the need and the necessity to have your kids there. But I mean, if I was in that position where I had nothing, I had no job, I think I would maybe save up money and go print out CVs. If I'm able to read and write or whatever, I will go print out CVs of what I can do. Clean houses or gardener or painter or anything. And I would learn that trade. And then I would go walk around handing out saying, you know what, I will even work for free. I will show you that what I can do for you. I'll work the first day for free. I will show you that I'm going to do a good job to ensure that I keep on getting jobs. I think that's also different but also maybe that's because I've had experience in trying to look for jobs and trying to make new businesses work, whereas they might not have had the fortunate and not had the ability and the skill set and kind of learn from someone else, That's also the thing is, do they have a positive mentor in their lives? Because when you're surrounded by people that are in the same poverty as you, it's difficult to kind of break out of that poverty, because the norm is the norm, and what you see, that person begging, that's normal. That person doesn't have a job, that's normal.
Yeah, that's the thing, bro. It's unfortunate circumstances, but at least try and make an effort.
Yeah.
Like, that's why my thing, try. Look, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And then it's highly unfortunate, and I'm sorry that it didn't work out.
Even dance on the side of the road.
Yeah,
that's more than just standing
you see
there.
those boys, bro, those oaks make an effort. Bro.
Yeah.
You check about 6 of them there
With
their
those crates,
beer and they jowl on the side of the road. And I'm willing to give that guy 10 Rand or 20 Rand and be like, here you go, my bro. Yeah, there you can go buy himself a pie, he's got food or whatever it may be. Because there the man is trying to do some sort of, business thing. He's trying to just earn a living, just trying to get by the day, get a certain amount of money that he's able to have some food for that day. Don't just sit on the side of the road there with 4 kids and expect, money from someone out of pity because, you've got kids there now. Like, those oaks, at least, I respect those guys that dance, and I find that they are everywhere.
But often what the problem is with, those guys dancing, it's usually youngsters, maybe kids in school. They'll maybe do it on the weekend.
Yeah.
Then there's an older guy that takes half the money from them.
Yes.
But also, I guess that's business at the end of the day. If you organize these kids to go and dance, obviously give them their fair share.
Yeah.
Give them what they deserve. But if you go and you say, okay, well, do you want to make $20? All of one of you make $20 a day.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not a lot.
Yeah.
But all of you make 100 Rand.
Yeah. No,
you can make some money, and then obviously I'll take my cut for organizing and putting together, maybe choreographing the dance or whatever. Then different story. But I've heard a lot of stories where those kids would dance and get nothing out of it.
Yeah. No, but that's the thing, bro. That's like, we don't know. We don't know what they go through. Like, there could be a bigger boss.
But at least they're doing something.
But they're doing something productive. They look good, and like they're trying to earn a living. So,
bro, Fortnite. Are you still playing Fortnite? Because I've heard a lot of people saying that Fortnite's dying.
So for Fortnite, I haven't been on. I went on, I think, about 2 weeks ago. I tried to play, and I was like, no, I'm done. I can't play this anymore. So it definitely has died out, in my opinion. I mean, I'm no gaming expert, but I've only literally played Warzone and Fortnite. There are still people that are on. I mean, the guys that I know that I used to play with are still on every single night, but they're never on Call of Duty. So that's their game, Fortnite, but I haven't even bothered anymore.
I would like to know if there has been a decline in users. I can only assume there has, because Warzone has upped their game so much. Since the introduction of Warzone and, Plunder and all of that kind of stuff, that's really fun. And also, it's more realism. And I think that's appeals to more people is, you don't have to build things. You got a real gun.
Yes.
There's blood. There's more realism about it, and it's for an older audience.
Yeah, look, I think Fortnite is still killing it.
No, definitely.
But I definitely think there's a huge. Look, I've started playing from season 6, and that was also the old school map with tilted towers, all of that type of stuff. And that was with the game that everyone loved. I was addicted to it then. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great.
How many hours you play there?
Then I think I was playing from about.
But that was varsity days.
Yeah, varsity days I had time. So there I was sitting easy, probably pushing about 10 to 12 hours. 10
Jeez.
8 to 10, maybe somewhere along there. It depends.
You studied hard, bro.
When I first got my Xbox, I was jollying. I played from about 4 in the afternoon till about 3 that morning. So yeah, bro, it's just. But I definitely think they've taken a dip. They definitely are struggling because all the old school stuff like Tilted Towers, all of that stuff being taken away. Now you bring in, dude, they've got UFOs in the game. They've brought in the theme of Rick and Morty into Fortnite now, which makes sense of the UFO stuff, but still it's a bunch of bullshit, Bruce. They're like, now you're busy fighting a guy and you've got another guy that comes along with his UFO and shoots it at you and you lose life. Like that's what kills the game of Fortnite. Whereas Warzone, is also just as hectic, but still, it's more realistic, it's more fun. It's just, I think everybody is intrigued in that now. But speaking of that, Battlefield 6 is coming out now as well.
It's Battlefield 2060 or it's like
something,
whatever
futuristic
date.
But apparently, this is going to be a stiff competition for Warzone.
But will there be a free version? Like the equivalent of Warzone, or you have to buy the full game?
I'm not sure. I honestly think, look, Battlefield's always been power, bro, and I think it's going to be awesome. I think if they are bringing out a Battle Royale mode, then it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it will need to be free.
It will need to be free, and it will have to be able to compete with Warzone.
Yeah.
But if they're just bringing out like a normal campaign mode or multiplayer mode, then I don't think
it'll do well, but it won't take people away from the Battle Royale.
Yeah, Battle Royale is obviously the new in thing nowadays for every single game. If there's no Battle Royale, the games don't do well.
Yeah.
So if the Battlefield brings out a Battle Royale, then I think it's going to be crazy. I think it's going to be unreal. So we'll have to wait and see about that one.
Yeah.
But I am going to most likely going to buy Battlefield.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it's going to be an awesome game. So I'm going to buy it. Might as well.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Chris, thank you so much for coming on. We wish you a speedy recovery. Hopefully next time you're on, you walking in here.
Yeah, shot, bro. We'll have to see. And shout out to all your followers as well. I've seen they've been giving gang messages of saying get well soon. So I appreciate all of that. But yeah, hopefully the next time I'm on the podcast, I can flip and walk, bro. I can sit normally.
Sweet, bro. Thank you very much.
Sweet shot, boy.
And thank you guys for listening.